Well, thanks for telling me that I was muted. I appreciate that. I was just saying hello to everybody. So, and I'm going to go back to this one. Yes, Jason, the sun has come out in the league. Hello to everybody who's here so far. Apologies about the mute. I mute myself because I have an awful habit of going live, having the screensaver thing on the screen, and then fiddling around with stuff and making noise in the background. So I muted myself, and then I forget because I'm an idiot. So who else is here? So if you saw your name on screen, that was me saying hello. So we've got White Peacocks. Andy is here. Philip is here. All the muting. Mute. It's okay. I got it. I got it. I got it. We got it. Yay. Yeah, we got it, Glenn. How are you, Glenn? Penny dropped. It did. This is why I look at chat. That's a good thing. Thank you very much for everybody who has given me the nudge there. Now I'm starting to sweat because that happened. Enzio, how are you doing, my friend? Carl is here. I thought the Apple CarPlay was broken. Nope, just me broken. West Yorkshire in the house. Michael Gott. Hello, Michael. Clive is here. Lee is here. Good evening. Derek is here. Smashing the likes button. You can gently tap the like button also. Any form of touching of the like button is accepted. Andy, hello. Juan Martinez in the house. Hello, my friend. Can I help with my microphone? you. We got Mark here as well and Blinky Fish in the house. We will get through comments today as we get through it. We've got hi from Canada, Gary. There you go, Gary. Hello, Gary. And Graham is here. We will keep going through chat tonight. So basically, I'll give you the format of what tonight is going to look like. It's just a chat. We're just going to have a conversation. Season is coming to a close. We've got one game left. I think we all probably know what's going to happen there. But I wanted to chat about the takeover stuff because we've covered it all week on the news. And I also wanted to talk about Sam Allardyce's press conference today. Just a couple of things that he said that got me thinking and made me realize there's possibly something going on behind the scenes that we're not fully aware of just yet. And Leeds seem to be doing a very, very, very good job of keeping it quiet, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. So, yeah, I've got a little agenda here. QSI 49ers, contract situation with players as well, because coming into the end of the season, who's on the way out, who's on longer contracts. There are release clauses in contracts, but, you know, who's there. I want to get your opinions on stuff as well, how you think things are going to pan out the weekend, what you think of the whole QSI 49ers, Sampdoria. What's a menage a trois? Is a three-way? What's a four-way in French? I don't know. I don't speak French. Sean, still conflict. I will try and get through comments as well. So just for people who normally just watch the news, if this isn't your vibe, if you're not into the whole chatting with chat, that's okay. You know, we'll be back with the news on Monday. But we can go through this. Mark, tell us a story with good news. All the stories I know are and like Jack and Jill, but they fell down the hill, so that didn't even end well. So there you go. Danny, evening. Steve, how are you doing? Like, appreciate that. Finger the like button. This is why you should pre-screen comments before you read them out loud. Thanks for that. Jim, how you doing, Jim? How's things, man? Sorry, my dog has just come in here now. Are you staying there? You're going to go. Oh, she's off. Clive. Mason also one of the two 1919 groups. Okay. Yeah, mute button. Hello. Good evening. Are we all in? Good evening to everyone except Radrizzani. We'll get to him. And Philip, hi, Jer. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the takeover from your perspective. For me, I think the deal with the 49ers is done. Rads wouldn't be moving Sampdoria. There's some stuff going on that I'm not sure about, but we'll talk about that in a second. We're conflicted. We're back to the start now. Calvert-Lewin out for Everton. We're going to go through the injury list of Leicester and Everton because I hate this. As far as I was convinced before last week, we were down. Done and dusted. It's in the history books. We're gone. Can't keep riding the luck. We're gone. And then I saw the injury list for Leicester and Everton. I went, oh, maybe. And I hate the fact that Leeds keep giving me hope. It's the hope that kills you. Lee, I reckon it's already done with the 49ers. Yeah, I wonder if Big Sam has an offered job if we go down. Something was said. Who's the first match you want? If you want Millwall away. Let's get it out of the way. I hope so. Do you think Sam has hinted at he's staying? Possibly, yeah. I think he could be. I think he could be a good director of football. That's an interesting show, actually, Fergal. Very interesting show. What was that? The latest. It must be announced within the first week after the Spurs game. Yeah, it does. It has to be quick. If KSI is good as Leeds owner, as boxer, I'll be happy. KSI. Loads of people here. Juan, I laughed that you like. I laughed at it like you did, and it's fixed. Thank you, Microsoft. We'll miss you. I haven't left Microsoft. I've just left that team in the UK. I used to work for the UK team. I used to work for the Irish team, and now I work for the global team. So I've just left that team. That's all. I should say I work on behalf of Microsoft. What I should say. Gotta show Poochie. She's gone now. She's gone. How she appears on other streams. She's done Joe show a couple of times. Wouldn't be Leeds without absolute shambles. It wouldn't be Leeds without drama. I don't mean Cody. You know what I mean? We're not getting to Cody tonight. We're not doing that again. Too many cooks in the kitchen, the ownership model. Yeah, it seems a bit messy. There's a lot of chat. I'm trying to get through things as much as I can. Maybe we get relegated to fresh. I think so. Let's hope the kills us. Yeah. George, look, congratulations on the cracking YouTube season. Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. This whole YouTube thing has been a massive surprise to me. So I keep saying it, and I genuinely mean it. I very much appreciate everyone who's watched the video, liked the video, subscribed, all that kind of stuff. I really appreciate it because this was a one-off video. I was doing one video because I was in a bit of a funk, and it got me out of the funk. And then I thought, well, I might as well keep doing this then. Had enough of the longest takeover history. This isn't the longest takeover. What is it, though? It's not, because they're kind of already in. The longest one was it? No, it wasn't Chilena. Was it Bates? I don't know. Typical Leeds share, mystery and suspense. I know, John. I know. Bristol City, yeah. Happy if we go down, bounce back. I think we might. All right, I'm going to skip a bit because there's a lot of chat. If I don't get your comments, I apologize, but I will try and get to them as we go through the stream. I'll try and ask some bits, and I'll go back and forth on a few bits and pieces. Tell Microsoft to release some damn games. Coming. Get on Game Pass. This is not a Microsoft stream, so we're moving past that. Right, we'll start off with, let's have a quick chat about the QSI stuff. So the latest today was that, or yesterday, I should say, it's been very quiet today. There was supposed to be a meeting held in Genoa today. Councillor McCarthy said last week that as far as they were concerned, the meeting that was scheduled for today was going to be cancelled, and a new meeting was going to be set up on Monday with the shareholders. That was before the QSI stuff got involved. Entertain us. Sorry. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? There you go. Yeah, that was before the QSI stuff popped up. Now, QSI is an interesting one for me because I didn't say this in the news because it's personal opinion, but Radrizzani uses QSI, or the links with QSI, from time to time as leverage. He clearly got a relationship with them, but whether that relationship actually means anything, it was used at one point. They were going to come in and take over Leeds, and then the whole 49ers stake in Leeds increased. It's never brought out again. Now, whether this is being used as a vessel or a tactic to force the 49ers into a different deal, I don't know. I would doubt it, but I don't know. But it's a strange involvement out of nowhere. It was supposed to be Manfredi and Radrizzani taking over Sampdoria for what was priced at 35 million. But when they put all the debt into it as well, it looked about 68, 69 million was the fee. Radrizzani's new deal, his second offer, his first offer was 39 million. It was rejected. Second offer was in and around 68, 69 million, apparently. And they've said that's a much better deal because in this deal, it says that they'll clear the debt. They'll pay off the shareholders with 50 to 60% of the money that's owed to them, which is more than they would have got if the club had gone into liquidation. He paid the outstanding 11 million players' wages situation. That would clear that one off the world. And then he'd be in charge of the club. That was the original thing. QSI only came into it yesterday or the day before yesterday. QSI came in as being a potential minority stakeholder. And there was a throwaway line thrown into it where it said that they would be still interested in a longer project with Leeds, which doesn't make any sense. And then last night we heard the conversation that actually maybe the 49ers would be getting involved in a Sampdoria takeover as well. And we'd have Leeds, the 49ers, and Sampdoria in some sort of weird partnership. It doesn't make any sense to me for the 49ers to get involved in the Sampdoria takeover. I get that Radrizzani has had this thing about having a network of clubs that he can, like the City Group have, I suppose, with Melbourne, Man City, New York. But they have a lot more money to do it better, pretty much. This has been likened to the Pozzo family deal with Watford. And I've seen a couple of people say that it was beneficial for a while. And it was for probably a year or two. But overall, it's been a bit of a disaster for them. Udinese are not a team that competes at any great level. And Watford are a yo-yo club at best and didn't get out of the championship this year. So, it doesn't work well. What's the point of having two mediocre clubs when you should put your money into one and have one maybe better club or decent club or competing club? So it's a real strange one for me. And I don't know why the 49ers will be getting involved in this unless it's mixed up, unless there's cross wires here. And actually what's happening is Sampdoria and Radrizzani talks are happening on one side, 49ers and Radrizzani talks are happening on the other side. Either way, I expect stuff to come out early next week. I don't know. I'm not in the know. I don't have any contacts. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying that based on what I've read and based on what I see, the Sampdoria deal has to go through before the 30th. Otherwise, they'll be docked points next season in Serie B because they have to pay the players' wages by the 30th of May. So there is a time situation there for Rads to get that done. The Leeds stuff needs to be sorted out as quick as possible because obviously the championship, if we do go down, which it looks like we will, the championship starts a week or so earlier than the Premier League. So it's a week less training. You've got, the friendlies are started to be announced. Something needs to get moving on this. So, Sam Allardyce's press conference, he said a couple of things in it. He was basically asked by Adam Pope, I think, about the situation at the club and, what would it take to make this club successful? And he said, it's classified. I can talk about it when the season's over. And that was it. And he moved on from that. I thought that was an unusual statement. And then he made a second one. I wrote it down as well. He made a second comment where he basically says, I'm trying to find the notes now. Something along the lines of, I can't talk about it right now, but I will. It was pretty much the vibe I got. I took 4 pages of notes on Allardyce today, and I can't find them now. There we go. I'll talk when the season's over. That's what he said. And you're just thinking, what's going on here? All he has to say is, depending on where we are, I would look at my position at the club next season, depending on where we are. That's all he has to say. But he makes it more interesting by saying it's classified and I can't talk about it right now. And then later on in the interview, he says, we'll talk about it later on, after the season's finished. It's an interesting one. I got very strong Sam is planning on sticking around vibes. And again, I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll talk about that in a sec. But just on the QSI stuff, and this is just a question for the chat. Do you want to see any situation where, as in, a takeover happens this summer that involves Radrizzani staying on at least in any capacity? So yeses or nos. I'd love to see in the chat what you think on this, because personally, I will be very grateful for what Radrizzani has done for Leeds, getting Leeds back in the Premier League. But unfortunately, by sticking around a bit longer than he should have maybe, and by doing the things that he's done in the last 18 months, he will leave Leeds in pretty much exactly the same position, albeit slightly better off financially, but in the championship again. So he's possibly tainted his own legacy here. He could have walked away the hero at the end of this, and that hasn't happened. For me personally, I would like to see a situation where it's a clean slate in the summer, whether he's a minority owner but doesn't have the running rights, and that's the 49ers until we get back into the Premier League, or if we get back in the Premier League. Or he leaves completely, which is my personal preference. So I'm not. I could do a voting poll, but I want to see what you think. So what we got? Lee, no. Kimberly, no. Mark, no. Glenn, no. The share back, hell no. Philip, no chance for me. Big no there. No. Juan, no way. Sunshine, no. Complete clear. No way. Definitely. No way. Definitely no. Yeah. Okay. So we're all pretty much thinking the same thing. Want them gone. Thanks. Goodbye. Exactly. Yeah. With you there, Steve. With you there. There's pretty much no one in favor. There's no for me because it's become toxic. It has become toxic now. It's a really good point. No, need a money man in. Rest time is up. Again, respect what he's done for us. Yeah. Clean break. No way. No. Okay, so we're all in agreement pretty much. Say a big one. Russ, I want Rads to go at the end of the season. He should have gone the first season back in the Premier League. Yeah, he did say some stuff about not being able to take the club any further and needing people with money to come in at that point. He just wants to put money in as a silent investor. That could be okay. Yeah, a silent investor would be the key thing there. Is anyone else shocked to hear Jer is over 6 foot? I was at 5'6". I'm 6'4". Yeah, I'm 6'4". Do you think Rads can afford to stall for 12 months before selling us? This is what I think, and this has been talked about an awful lot recently. He's on 49ers are 44%. He's 56%, 56%. If it was a 7% swap there, if 49ers were to take an additional 77%, they would go into 51% ownership of the club. And at that point, you're looking at a situation where they're the majority stakeholders. He's only selling a small portion at a reduced rate. He's still keeping 44% or 49%, whatever he wants to keep. At that point, then, if the 49ers take over the ownership, change the setup, push Leeds back into the Premier League next season, again, assuming Leeds go down, then you have a situation where he could then sell the 44% or 49%, whatever he has at that point, for a higher value, more akin to what he's looking for in the Premier League this season. That would be the smart move for me. But it would also be the quickest one. Andy says thanks and goodbye. He needs to go. Which is the business deal? I think that's the case with all owners, Philip, if I'm being honest. Some care a little bit more, you know. Jason, no time for him to go. Thanks, Jason. Lee, fresh start needed at all levels. Yeah, we're all in agreement here. For me, Rads needs to be 100% gone. Yeah. Oh, we would like him to stick around, Andy. That's okay. That is absolutely fine. Don't have a problem with Radrizzani. That's okay. Also, new background just for live streams. Just for live streams. Let's see the background. Yeah. I'm not taking. I will never take away from what he's done. He's done some great things for Leeds. What's your view? Should Rads go at the end of the season? Should go? Yeah, I think he should. I honestly, personally, think it should be done, Dustin, and move on from him now at this stage. He's done some good things for Leeds, but unfortunately, the way I look at it is, I kind of feel like he's surrounded himself with the wrong people. I think he's just got a group of people in Leeds who tell him what he wants to hear, and it's probably not the right thing for him. A couple of more critical people in the boardroom might have actually, directed him in a better way. We could all see this happening all year. Like, nothing that's happened this season is a real surprise to the fans. This has been pretty obvious this was going to happen all season. So there've been moments where we thought maybe we'll be okay. Like January transfer window finish, I was pretty positive about January. Thought, if you take it for the players we bought in January, the money we spent, 70 odd million in January, is like, yeah, it's a decent January. Finally spent some money. Hindsight tells us that hasn't worked out. Those lines weren't great, but on paper at the time, they're good signings. They looked like they were good signings. So it just hasn't worked out. None of it's worked out pretty well at all. Yeah, so that's the it's just a really weird situation. So I'll go through it again. So what they're saying, Council McCarthy said today that they believe is a partnership between Leeds and Sampdoria. They believe the 49ers are also expressing an interest in getting involved in this, and that QSI will be a minor partner in this. I don't know. The other bit of news that popped up today I thought was interesting was the director of football. So Leeds are looking at a new director of football, and a guy called Dimitri De Conde, who was a sporting director at Genk. 48 years of age, been at Genk since 2015, has been looked at by AS Roma, Spurs, and Southampton. Have had a dabble in the past as well. He's apparently got a very good track record of developing young players, which Leeds will have that's part of Leeds' policy now, is to develop young players, and has sold talent in the region of 260 million. So Genk being a small European club, 260 million, huge amount of money to bring into that club. So he's been monitored by Leeds as well. There's a few floating around. New director of football, no, not for me. I wouldn't have said no to Brian McDermott though, but now he's the director of football at Hibernian. So that's that one. John, Bielsa era was like magic wand for your misses. Amazing at the time. When it keeps going too long, they stop for you. Thanks for that, John. Thanks for that. Kimberly, the Conde sounds interesting, but will Tottenham get him? Will Tottenham get anybody they want? I don't know. Tottenham are a bit of a mess themselves at the moment, albeit with a better squad. Lee, the fella from Norwich, he's a Leeds fan, so will care. He's pretty hit and miss with signings and very split on their fan bases. A lot of their fan base look at him in the same way that we looked at Victor. They loved him for a while and then they didn't like him anymore. So it's a tricky role. Most director of football, I think, if you're being honest about it, get most of the signings wrong, just in general. They get a couple of really good signings, but the bulk of players they will sign over the course of a career, they don't all go on to be successes. I kind of think that we'll dominate championship. This is the funny bit. From last week, after the defeat last week, I kind of went from being... I stopped being angry after Bournemouth. And then I got a bit angry at the game, the Newcastle game, just from shouting at people. But after the Bournemouth game, I kind of thought, that's it. I kind of settled on it. I kind of gone through the stages of grief, and I got to the point where I'm like, yeah, that's going to happen. And I think since then, I've been a bit more calm and happy about it, a bit more relieved about it, going, okay, this is a fresh start no matter what happens. No matter what happens, it's a fresh start. If we stay in the Premier League, Radrizzani will sell to the 49ers because that's in the deal. Leeds will need a clear out. They will clear players out regardless. It needs a fresh start to be a new manager or a confirmed manager, a new owner, a new director of football, new directors, clean slate. If we go down, You've got release clauses in players' contracts. You've got players who want to play at international level who will leave. And that's going to leave us in a situation where we end up with clear out anyway. You've got a core of good young players that we need to bring a bit of experience around. And maybe then you could go into the championship and dominate it and win the championship again, like Burnley have done. They lost quite a lot of players as well. So it's I think it'll be a massive summer change regardless. I would hope that it's a clean slate across the board. If we go down, we go down. But, just as long as we're in a position to try and come back. Fulham are the example that I look at this. Fulham have a really good owner in Tony Khan, who owns the Jacksonville Jags, and I'm a wrestling fan as well. So he's also the owner of AEW Wrestling as well. He's loads of money. But when they got relegated, he put a tweet out to the fans saying that they knew they got it wrong in January. They didn't strengthen the defense, but they know what they got wrong and they were going to implement changes. They did that in the championship. They got themselves back in the Premier League, and then they invested cleverly in 2 transfer windows in January and in the summer. And they put themselves in a position where they could actually push up the table. And I've had a really good season for them, really good season. But they identified the weaknesses. If you look at Newcastle last year were no great side. They definitely weren't a top 3 side, put it that way. They didn't spend their Saudi oil money, really, not yet. They bought clever players. They bought a brand new goalkeeper and an entire back 4. And they strengthened the defense. They've had one of the best defenses, if not the best defense, outside of Man City in the league this year. And they finished 3rd with pretty much essentially the same thing. Good coach, smart investment. Leeds haven't covered the gaps that we've had. We have pretty much the same back 5, including the goalkeeper, since we came up. This is the first year in the Premier League. Hasn't really changed that much. Junior Firpo coming in, but that's been that. So it's a strange one for me. I just think whatever happens, it'll be a clear out in the summer. It'll be a whole new look and feel of Leeds come the first day of the season. If we're in a championship, hopefully it's in a position where we can go and push and challenge early on, not playoffs, because we know what happens there. If we stay in the Premier League, there's going to be a huge investment in players needed. And if the 49ers come in, the money's there. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Let's move on. I'm going to change some bits up here. And I wanted to go on to the Sam's press conference. If you haven't seen it, as I said, he made some strange comments. From an injury perspective, he said that Rodrigo trained this week, so he could be available for Sunday. Bamford, he said they're going to wait till tomorrow to assess him. They've trained in Ellen Road for 3 days this week, and as I said, it's pretty much to try and get players used to familiar with the environment they're going to be playing at the weekend. Now, the obvious comment is they should know Ellen Road pretty well anyway, because they play there every week. But there is some credence to that kind of mentality of training in the area, getting overly familiar with it in the week, like you've been there all week, So there's that. He's definitely said that he's looking at a few bits and pieces. And he said that they've trained hard on what they want to do at the weekend all week on the pitch. So fingers crossed that bears some fruit. You're not going to have Bamford. I don't know if Rodrigo's going to be fit to start the game. So what does he do? Front end? Does he? Clearly, Rutter's not going to be an option. Willie isn't an option for him either. You won't play him up front. Does he change the system completely? Phil Hay said today on the Phil Hay show, Sam doesn't strike him as a false 9 kind of guy, but he might be forced into a false 9. We'll have to see. What were your thoughts on the press conference, and how do you think the weekend's going to go? Because I agree with everything everyone has said publicly. I think Leeds will take the lead on Sunday, and I think for a period of time on Sunday we'll be out of the relegation zone, and then unfortunately I think we'll drop back into it. I'm going to jump into the comments real quick here for a sec. There's been loads, and I love that you're just chatting away to each other. That's fantastic. Jared Felton Norwich, he's a Leeds fan. He told me we got that's where we were. Okay, that's our starting point. We know where we are, what we got here. Yeah, gang director of football looks like he could be for us. Be great. I think that we dominate the championship. We said that one. Thank you, Scully. I think so. We'll go for Javi Garcia. What about still the 49ers, the 45 million for Woodward or Robert? Their structured deals, they would have been involved in that. So I'm assuming a lot of those deals will be done over the length of the contract, so the club will be on the hook for the money for those transfers. Big clear at the summer. Yep. Robert, we need Brighton director of football. Brighton's just a very well organised club. There is debt there. There is debt in Brighton because they have the money to spend it, but they're loans from the owner to the club that he's never going to take back. So it's a better way of doing it. Get Dennis the close. Main reason is that he's a director who I have heard. Mark, why is everyone saying when we go down it hasn't happened? I know that, Mark. And I hope I have egg on my face. Trust me, more than anything in the world, I hope I have egg on my face. I hope I'm wrong. And a lot of us, I think, are just shielding ourselves from the disappointment that may happen on Sunday. I do keep saying if, but also when, because There's a lot of things that have to go our way this weekend. Like, two other teams have to lose, and we have to win. We'll get into that in a minute, but I get where you're coming from, Mark, and I'm trying not to do that, but unfortunately, get dragged into it. I'm just happy to see us win some games. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? 11 games since Bielsa left, we've won. It's shocking. Stuart Webber, Norwich Director of Football, should have gone 2 or 3 seasons ago, Jer, from the outsider's point of view, with me being a journalist covering Rotherham. And that's what my Norwich mates think. I've heard a fair bit of that, Russ, from a lot of people, Norwich fans, saying that they did like him at one point, but he overstayed his welcome. It's a tough gig, isn't it, Director of Football? I've been resigned to come down since Palace. My son is a Norwich fan, doesn't rate him. Yeah, it's a bit of that. I think we need to get all our ducks in a row. Need to sort the club out behind the scenes first. Rob Mason would be lovely. Went to the Palace game, and that did it for me. Yeah, there was something broke in Palace. Remember, managers used to scout players that they wanted. Director of Football, pretty pointless. Because they're always bringing players in short term, whether it's the club's vision, but then they got to get a manager to fit the club vision, or it's players for the manager, which was what happened in January for Jesse. Then the manager's gone; they don't fit the style anymore. Burnley have come to me. Who we have? I don't know. Second half versus Palace, something happened. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement with that. But something definitely happened in Palace. Next 2 weeks will be interesting once the match is over. Yeah, whatever happens, we need to put a lot of cash. Yep, we do. 100% we do. Absolutely dead right, mate. Anyone who's committed to the club need to be gone from the players to the board. Isn't committed. Yeah. Just one piece of the puzzle. Getting a decent coach and build for the future. This thing, get the Director of Football first. That's the first one. Corberán could still be a good show. I would love Corberán. Get a bit of stick for that, but I just would love to have Corberán back at the club. I think he's perfect for the job. New manager with a good preseason must, yes, and an early, which means it has to get done early, doesn't it? It has to get done early. I think the lower half of the championship around the top half ownership is the question. Yeah, there's a worry there, Steve. I think we've got PTSD from the last time we went down. You know, I'm in that bracket as well, but I'm a bit more confident this time around. The financial debt isn't there this time. But that's all a mini metro, the Shirley Crabtree. I swear to God. At least championship get tickets to be easy. Yes, I look forward to going back to more games. Fulham's transfer put us to shame. They paid very little for some. They just did very good recruitment. They knew what their issues were. They knew where the gaps in their squad were, and they filled them. It should be pretty black and white, shouldn't it? Glenn, I honestly think that we're looking at mass exodus. Oh, yeah, I agree with that, yeah. Players quiver when they concede a goal. Can you imagine when they see 60% pay cuts? Yeah. They'll be loaded on the way out. Dave, love the background. Oh, thanks, Dave. Shelley, I hope we get a new manager and get rid of the leadership group. That has to go. Director of Football, similar structure to what they have in the NFL. They have the owner, then the general manager, who's similar to Director of Football, then the coach. Yeah. It was Jesse the disaster that got bad transfers in. Can't blame him. He's got a Director of Football and he's got a chairman. Manager can ask for players. They have to say yes. And they did. No, Pat is available. He screwed up a season. Pat has a contract, unfortunately. I'll go through it. I looked up for release clause, and the only articles or information I could find about release clauses were last season. I think Pat Bamford has a release clause, but they were saying that in and around 30 million, which is crazy. Mark, last year I said we weren't going to go down, and we didn't. Now we've played abysmal all year, and now we shine, and I think we stay up. Love to see Everton relegated. I would like to see them go down too. Perkins, great show for up front. Yes, and he's still in the club. He's not on international duty. Big Sam on Rodrigo. Injected. Hi from Wexford. Hello from Wexford. How are we? Yeah, Nonto was a striker before he came to Leeds. That just seems to be in the water over there. Whenever somebody comes who is a striker ends up not being a striker. Sam said the physical side is not as important as the mental side. Correct. Mentally strong players can push further and do more. He's dead right. The mentality is huge. Another loss, unfortunately. Can't wait to be able to send someone. Yeah, we've got so many comments. I can't get through them all. I can't. I'm trying hard. But there's loads. I will keep dipping in and out. That's okay with everybody. Cool. Let's have a look at this, though. This is what we wanted to have a quick look at. And this is the contract situation at Leeds. Okay. I'll just press some buttons here. And we'll go with... No. Too many tabs open. I was working today, so I got loads of stuff open. There we go. We'll add this to the screen. There we go. Papa going to sit just under Bielsa's head. Right then. If we lose to Harrison City, Rudder, given the crack next season, actually looks like a decent vision. Yeah. Okay, so this is the first part. We got a couple of slides. We start off with this one. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. That's a bit much. Bip. That's the other one. get to that one. Start with this one. There we go. PC's not playing ball. There we go. Okay. So contract wise, working backwards, you've got these are the longer ones. Or should I say that one or that one? That one. There we go. So starting here, 2023, which is now this year, Creswell, Robles, Jack Jenkins are out of deal. This is the average salaries and the transfer fees that have been paid for in the past. Some of them are empty because they just don't know what the salaries are. But these are the ones that are out of contract. I could see Joel Robles staying for another season because I imagine Melier will go. Jack Jenkins is just coming back from Salford. Then you've got Rodrigo, I don't know who Rodrigo Mercado is, but it's Moreno. Next season, he's out of contract. Average salary is $3 million a year. And his transfer fee is around $33 million we paid for him, but we didn't pay 20. I would love to see Rodrigo stay at Leeds, but I think he'll probably go. Robin Koch is out of contract in a year as well, as is Helder Costa. It's hard to believe Helder Costa could come back to Leeds, isn't it? It's just crazy. Ian Paveda, Helder Costa, Adam Forshaw. Forshaw gets through the game at the weekend. There's a possibility of him getting a 1-year deal. I don't know how I feel about that. I like Adam Forshaw, but the injuries have been crazy. Paveda, I expect to leave Leeds this summer. He's caused problems at Blackpool all season. Liam Cooper, I'd like to see stick around, and same with Ayling, I'd like to see them stay, but also at the same point, we need to bring in better players or younger players in those positions. Keep them around for experience. Would be great to see. Good servants to the club. Stewie Dallas, nice to see him get a full season. He's now out to 2024. So these, pretty much from Shackleton up to Rodrigo, are the immediate flight risks and there's nobody major in that group. Chris Klassen, I think, will leave just because he's now fallen behind Danny van der Heuvel and the under 21 side. Can't get a game there. He's a very average goalkeeper, Chris Klassen, and he has one appearance for Leeds. First team, but he's pretty average. Dan James is an interesting one. He's got 2 years left on his deal, 3 years left on his deal at the end of this season. I think Dan James would do a very strong job for Leeds in the Championship, just based on his speed and the kind of division that it is. Teams that attack quickly in Championship tend to do well. And don't forget, he did very well in the Championship the last time he was there, and we tried to buy him. He's coming back. There's no guarantee he will leave. Mark Rocket looks like he's all but heading to Betis. Llorente is due back from Roma. He is a contract till 2026. So these are the brackets of players that we're looking at, who we're looking at release clauses. Sam Greenwood, I still think there's a player in there at some point, but not happening. Pat Bamford, earning $1.8 million a year. That's a lot. It's a lot for a player who's been as injured as Paddy has been. And then you have Sam Greenwood. The next set of them, we've got Melier is in contract until 2026. Gnonto, 2027. This is the interesting one. Everyone's talking about Willie Gnonto automatically leaving Leeds. Unless his release clause is hit, I don't know the fee. There's a fee attached to a release clause, and that has to be activated. The release clause, the first part is, if we're relegated, you can go, but they have to pay a fee. So either Leeds need to agree on a fee with Gnonto. There's been rumours that there is an agreement in place for him to leave. And then in the second side, there's another couple of articles that have gone around that says that Leeds are trying to keep him and Tyler Adams and Vober specifically. A couple of comments on this. We're triggering Forshaw for an extra year. Bielsa to Allardyce feels like some experience. I know if you'd asked us at the end of Bielsa's reign that we'd have Allardyce and be relegated, you'd shake your head, wouldn't you? No way, please. We need to force it from the dead wood. Forshaw has been here 5.5 years and he's been dogged with injuries, but can't think about he's a good player though when he does play. Helder Costa, I'd be happy to give Forshaw a paper play. That's a good idea, paper play, and I'd say he'd probably accept it as well. Sounds like Raz is saying the 49ers that if they don't buy him, I think that's the threat. That is the threat, Phil. But I don't know if there's any substance behind it. Might have one game in class and his clean sheet. He only played 45 minutes, but he's been really average for the under 21 side. He hasn't even looked like he could push through or threaten Melier. Rolls would be good for number one next season. I agree with that. Competent keeper. Dan James, a human swan. If this goes through, Rads could stay in Italy and never get back to Backlash. I don't think he's going to be there on Sunday. Greenwood's only going to FIFA 23. I wish he was. No, fair enough. If we go down, how many of the young players you think will play in the Championship without throwing them in from the lines? I think you'll see a situation where I think Darko JB could play a bigger role. I think Gelhardt, depending on the system Leeds play, because Joffrey's proven even this year with Sunderland, up front on his own doesn't really work particularly well. So it depends on the system. Greenwood, I think, will probably stick around. There's something in there. Managers do see something in him as a midfielder. Like Sam started him against Newcastle and brought him on last weekend, although he hasn't made an impact. I think he's a chance. I think Creswell's a shoe-in. probably the starter for in the Championship. I think he starts. If they can keep Cody Drama then Championship, he'll be an option there as well. I still think Leo Hjelde needs a bit more work as a left full. He had an in and out season with Rotherham this year, but he's done well at times this year. So there's a good few. I think Mateo Joseph can definitely push. I think Sonny Perkins would push as well. If we stay in the Premier League, I think you're looking at a lot of them going out on loan. I think they'd have to go into the Championship and go out on loan. And then Leeds bring in a couple of more experienced, more skilled players. Because if the average of what we've got this year isn't good enough, bringing in younger players that can't force those players out of the team probably isn't going to help us. They've got potential to get better in the future, yes, but it takes time. Going into this list, then you get to Somerville. I'd love him to stay. I think he'd destroy the Championship, but I think he could probably go as well. Roberts, QPR are still interested in bringing him in on a permanent deal this next year. You got Tyler Creswell is coming back as a Shackleton, although Gary Rowett has said if Leeds stay in the Premier League, he would be open to taking both players. Shackleton's contract is up at the end of next season as well, so he's only got a year, and his agent has been talking about him moving on. We got to Robos already. Harrison, Jack Jenkins, we did that already. Vober is on a contract that leads until 2027. There's nothing on his actual salary. And Jack Harrison is here at 28, although he does have a release clause. 14 million is what Leeds paid. They didn't pay 11. This is wrong. Paid 11. But they'd want to be getting around 20 million for him. So I think if you look at that list of players that are there, there's Phil Hayton said something like 10 or 12 players could leave. I could see that happening easily. You would like to think, and it depends on the ownership, it depends on what happens in the next couple of weeks. If we can clean out the backroom stuff, get that sorted, get the takeover done, get the director of football in, you could convince a couple of players. They take Tyler Adams as an example. US national team captain will want to play international football, but there isn't a World Cup for 4 years. So you could maybe convince them, look, we won't cut your wages, give us a year in the Championship, get us back in. It's 1 year you're sacrificing, then you're back in the Premier League, and you'll have 2.5 years in the Premier League before the next World Cup. Maybe you could convince them to stay for the sake of one season, but it would have to be one season. That's the only hope that I've got on certain players. Otherwise, I think it could be a mass exodus, but that's possibly not a bad thing either. It's probably not a bad thing either. A lot of people kind of saying the same things. I go across here, quickly chat again. What have we got? Michael. Yeah, we've already said that one. Sorry, Michael. Dan James could do a job at left back. I think anybody could at this stage. Can't believe that Bamford's getting that much. He's on 70 grand a week, I believe. The three players to stay for me at all costs are Max Forward, Tyler Adams, and Willie. I would agree with that as well. I'd like Rodrigo to stay because I think as the number 9 in the Championship, he'll get a lot of goals. A lot of goals. Robles classes: Ailing, Dallas, Cooper, Stroke, Creswell, Hjelde, Forshaw, Shackleton, Bate, JB, Gray, Somerville, McGurk. I love McGurk. I think McGurk's a cracking player. Greenwood, Gethart, Rutter, Perkins. I think these will stay. I think they will stay. I think there will be interest in Gray. I think there will be interest in Cressy. I think there will be interest probably in Somerville as well, and maybe Gelhardt. But I think the Gelhardt will be Championship, lower Premier League, same as we are. So should be fine. I'd like to see Joseph and Perkins push on this year. Either go out on loan or play. One or the other. Sitting in the 21s for another season will help them. Rad's not even at the last game of the season. What does that tell you? Now, I'm just guessing. Angus Kinnear will be there, who isn't the worst of the three of them by a long shot. Forshaw, wasted wages. Yeah. Adams staying sounds more like gaslighting by the club. They've done a lot of that this year. Sam will stay as director of football. It would be an interesting move, wouldn't it? How will Jesse Mars get past our board? How did that? Oh, well. Yeah. John Heckles, I'm assuming that's Ger. Whereabouts in Ireland from? Originally from Cork, grew up in Dublin, and I live in Meath now. I live in Duleek, small village in the northeast Dublin of Ireland. Sorry, just north of Dublin. I love to keep Adams, Christensen, Vober, and Nanto. Well, if Rasmus Christensen keeps playing the way he's playing as a centre back, keep next year as a centre back. He's done really well there. Krez will have a big role next season. I think he will. Just in the back half of the season, he had with Millwall. I think he definitely will. If we go down, we can offer promotion bonuses. Yes, we can. And giving them back their full salaries. What about Rudder and Joffrey up together? Yeah, it's a possibility. The Sam Aldiss comments about Rudder not being a striker or not being or not having a striker on the bench when Rudder was sitting there. I think he just looks at him and sees winger. I think he sees him as a winger, not as a striker at all. So he's not being disrespectful by saying he's not good enough to be a striker. I just think he looks at him and says he's not a striker, full stop. Hjelde has done well at Rotherham, but still work to do. Yeah, he's been in and out though, Russ. Like there was a period of time where he was on the bench for a while towards the back end of the season there as well. He fell out of favour a little bit, but when he has played, he's looked really good. I was surprised he was out of the team for a while. I thought it might have been an injury, but I wasn't sure. Clive, the squad I've mentioned there, that's who I think will stay. Yeah, I agree with you. Where do you think Greenwood as someone to have for set pieces? You're not convinced. Yeah, Greenwood is. I don't know. I think there's a player in there. I think managers have seen something in him in training. They've tried him. He's not been pushed out or dropped down, but he needs to play more games. He should have been playing on 21 football this year if he wasn't going to play first team football. You can't throw a player in for 2 games when he hasn't played in 8-10 weeks. It's training is training. It's not match practice. What about Stroke? I'm okay if Stroke moves on. I think the pressure of the end of this season, and then the same happened at the end of last season when the relegation stuff came in. He didn't seem to react particularly well to it. He seemed to struggle with it. He's still very, very young for a centre back. But I think if Cressy comes in, the future we're hoping more was Creswell and Stroke side by side. But you look at Montero in the 21s, although he has a couple of years before he's ready for the first team. He's only 18. Could push in earlier than that, but I thought we'd see Stroke and Creswell as our centre backs, but I'm not convinced now after the season he's had. Those players, remember, they helped us get. This is important to say this. There's no one saying we're not grateful for all these players that got us here. No one is saying that. However, sentimentality has already cost us this season. Being sentimental about players because they helped us to get here. There is a natural moving on point for footballers. They always say it. The name on the back of the shirt isn't important. It's the badge on the front of the shirt. The name on the back of the shirt changes regularly. Players don't own that shirt. They are only in it for a period of time. Somebody else will be wearing it soon. Their job is to represent it the best way they can. The lads that got us into the Premier League will always be remembered as players that got us into the Premier League. That will never be taken away from them. There are some modern day legends in that in terms of the division, likes of Ailing, Cooper. That will never change. That will never change. And no one is criticizing that. What you can't do, though, is keep playing players who one of them has said hasn't got into legs anymore. Liam Cooper has said it himself that he expects his first team starting days to be behind him now. So these players are realizing themselves they're getting to the point where there's a natural moving on moment. So I'm not ever going to diss any of those players for getting us here. They got us here. However, we're going back down with that team. So there was a moment to change that team and upgrade it. And we didn't do it. I'm not saying sell them. We could have kept them. They would still have had an impact in the club. We've just done it badly. We've done the whole thing badly. Like I said earlier this week, every big decision this year we got wrong. I see Rodrigo staying, Nanto and Adams. I'd like that to happen. Cody Drama won't be around next season. I'm not sure, Jason. I'm not convinced. Never knew you went live. Rarely. Can't keep Greenwood. Just say, yeah, correct. He needs to do more in the game. Jerrison's there. Thank you for making us feel connected to the club throughout the shit show of a season. I wish I could be as connected. I did reach out to the club to talk to them, and they did tell me that I could actually interview some people, and then they never bothered getting back to me. And I've emailed them a couple of times since then. They've ignored me, so I don't feel connected to the club. I'd like to, but they won't let me. Plenty of work to do for me for Director of Football. Yeah, it's huge. It's a massive summer. Try and keep Robles. The US team has Copa America. Yeah, I know that. They should try and get Ward Prowse from Southampton. But if they're going to go down, I don't know if we'll be able to get them. Okay, let's get to the next thing I want to talk about before we wrap up today. And we're going to just have a quick look at. I was going to do kind of a look at Leeds going into the final day of the season, but I don't think that's that important. I'm kind of looking at this now and thinking, Creswell's contract. He's 2023. He's right there. 2023. So end of this season, he's out of contract. So Leeds need to give him a new deal. Did Leeds extend that when they sent him out on loan? I thought he had another year in his deal. That could be wrong. I thought he 2024. We have to wait and see. The badge represents the heart of the fans. Correct. Never get carried away with the name on the back of the shirt. It's the badge on the front that matters most. We'll miss McKennie's strange long throw-ins that everyone is saying are illegal now. We're running out of time to get things done before the season's out. The season's not over and we are running out of time to get things done. You are 100% correct, Graham, because it's a shorter summer. Right. I want to talk about other teams. I didn't want to talk about Leeds' game against Spurs because ultimately it doesn't matter. If we win and other results don't go our way, it doesn't matter what we do. So what I wanted to look at was the possibility of Everton and Leicester absolutely bottling it on the last day of the season, which I'm not convinced will happen, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you can read this. If it's too small, tell me and I'll zoom in. But the injury list for the weekend got interesting. They've got really interesting. So Leicester are missing. There's a few here are longer terms. Yeah. Okay. Wilfred Ndidi out. Justin out. Johnny Evans out. Too small. Cool. Thank you very much, Clive. Right. Let's do that and do that. Move you across to there. There we go. Now, Wilfred Ndidi is out until June. Justin the same. Johnny Evans, cramp thigh injury. He went off injured against Newcastle. Soyuncu also out, although possibly back, hit and miss. Dewsbury Hall is out, Barbosa out, Vestergaard, Bertrand, and Ward are all out for Leicester. If you look at the Everton one, it gets really interesting. They've dropped like flies this week. Andros Townsend out, Ben Godfrey out, Ruben Vinagre out, Seamus Coleman out, Mialenko out, although they have him down as a fitness test. Tom Davis is out, Nathan Patterson out, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin are out. Everton could go into the weekend with a possibility of no fullbacks, no fit or available fullbacks, which is going to be great. So there's a possibility that they will struggle, and a possibility we could capitalize on this. I'm not overly confident, if I'm being honest about this. So I'd love to know how people feel about this, genuinely. Because my brain, as I said, has gone from we're down to closer it gets to the game, I'm a little bit more hopeful, to then looking at all this stuff going, well, maybe Everton missing a few, Leicester missing a few, maybe. But I don't know. Up the chair. So, what do we think? Do we stay up? Do we go down? What way does this work? Is it goal difference, or do they both lose and we win? Do we beat Spurs? Is the first question. And I'd like to know what you think of that. Or Stripper. All three teams will lose yet again. We shoot ourselves in the foot, miss chances, etc. It's a very Leeds story, isn't it? Paul, a massive miracle to stay up. They happen, though. They do happen. Everton outs are across the whole pitch. Yeah. But no fullbacks. Get at the wide areas. I think Everton are going to get beat. Okay. Up the cherries. But they haven't beaten Bournemouth, have they? In the last 6 games they played against them, they've lost each time to them. I just think the goals from crowd pulled them through. It tends to, though, doesn't it? Like you saw the Spurs game earlier this year where Spurs bottled it towards the end of it. All we need to do is win. It's not, though. I get the sentiment, Philip. I get it. I'm the same as you. As long as we win, send everyone home happy. Season finishes on a high. Even if we go down, we rebuild, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But we need them to lose for it to be the perfect situation. Hopefully a good thing, and that both Everton and Leicester also suffer flu and have a full week. Yep. We are staying up. Good man, Graham. From what I can see, the players are trying very hard to stay in the division, so I can only put it down to the tactics. The players are good enough. I think the methods have been wrong. I think all the players are good enough? Or have they played their best? Because I don't think they've played their best. On paper, our squad looks fine. On paper, it looks fine. The injuries have been a problem this year. Losing Tyler Adams when we lost him was a problem. I don't think they're all good enough, being honest about it. We've had 2 seasons where we've been in the bottom 4. And that unfortunately tells the tale. If the league table doesn't lie in a year, it definitely doesn't lie in 2 years. We've really, really struggled. We've punched above our weight, I think, as long as we can. I think some players within that team, Bandy, are definitely good enough. Unfortunately, others either have been overly inconsistent, or the tactics is an interesting one because we've had 4 managers and they've all had a crack at this and they've all got the exact same tune, which unfortunately, the way I work things is what's the common denominator in this whole situation? It goes back down to the players. I could be wrong. Bomber lost last home game. They might want to give their fans at least a win. Yeah, I think they're on the beach personally. Leeds Lounge, good evening. I don't have a chat about this season at the end for content, or just have a chat. Well, I started this season on your channel. This is why I'm doing this. I should finish the season on your channel. I'd love to have a chat with you, mate. Love to have a chat. We are down. Okay. The defibrillator is charged and ready to go. We'll go down on goal difference. That'll hurt. The issue for me is that we can't even beat Spurs. Can we even beat Spurs? I don't know. We will concede. We've got to score. I'm in a good mood. We stay up. Thank you, Steve. We are down. Kimberly, we don't win. So others, it's irrelevant. Okay. We go down, but Everton get points deduction the next day. I was sitting back looking at this today going, Pep has pretty much told the Premier League, do it. Finish your investigation now. Don't wait till the end of the season. Do it now. Finish it. Give us a result. And I probably was thinking, go on, Pep. Go on. They might do Everton at the same time. And then just with a week to go, Everton get a -10 point deduction. It would be great. And then Leicester will win, and it doesn't matter anyway. So, but anyway, that my head went there as well. Leeds win 2-1. Everton and Leicester will lose 2-1. Leeds will stay in the Premier League. Oh, it's not going to be good for any of our hearts, is it? Small amount of hope, but I'm doing my best not to let it creep up. We are staying up, set it for a week. Also, Jeremy, the MOT, mate. MOT. Neil, remind me of that on Monday, will you? Remind me Monday in the news. Can't see us beating Spurs. Thing is, we need Leeds to turn up on Sunday. Yeah. If we can get a draw, if only we got a draw against West Ham, yeah. Or Leicester lost to Newcastle. I think Leicester stay up, Everton draw. Yeah, my head is with Leicester getting out of this as well. I'm right there with you, Glenn. I don't want us to stay up if we get sold, lock stock. Yeah. Well, if we stay up, we do get sold. That's in the contract. Probably down, but at least no VAR in Championship. No, but we get Don Goodman and Keith Andrews. I'm Irish. I don't like listening to Keith Andrews. We have the ability to beat Spurs on our day. But our day hasn't happened in so long. Down. Got away with last season. Somehow don't think it'll happen again. We've either looked too much. Yeah, we have to win, period. Everton to lose. Everton has to draw. Yeah. There's a lot of different permutations. Steve Williams, I think that both will lose. No, Jer, don't do a Sky Sports, Chris. Everton haven't done this in this game. I did, didn't I? I hate that. It drives me nuts every game I'm watching. Blah, 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 blah. Hasn't scored in 752 years. He's going to score now, isn't he? And he does. Leeds win 3-0. Others will lose. I'm getting hope now again. I have a vision that Everton and Leicester, dodgy, we need to do. I don't know. Just long for the ride. 60 years Leeds fan. Thanks, John. Reports in the US at that Adams won't be staying. Manchester United apparently very interested in him. I'd like to see him go anywhere else, Barrett, there. Can we see another Newcastle game with us? It won't be enough unless we don't give us 2 stupid penalties again. Whole club need a reset. We do. That's look. Everyone's in agreement. There's so many comments here. I didn't realize there was many as there was. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, folks. It is going to be an interesting one. 302 people here. That's mad. Thanks for watching, by the way. You can press the like button if you want. That'd be great. Look, it's going to be an interesting one. There's a lot of stuff going to happen over the next couple of weeks. The Sam Allardyce comments make me believe something else is going on behind the scenes and that we're going to hear about it on Monday or Tuesday. I think the Radrizzani stuff will get sorted out over the weekend with Sampdoria. That will hopefully give us a bit more clarity to what's going on there. And my hope is that the whole QSI 49ers mishmash partnership thing is just a mix-up. It's just a mix-up of all the different stuff going on at the same time and the wires getting crossed. But it's going to be going to be a tricky one. If you did it a second time, mate. If you did it a second time. I think it all comes out on Monday or Tuesday. Or after the game. I think Sam will let us know. But look, we shouldn't be in this position. We've made our own bed. We put ourselves in this position. 2 more wins throughout the entire season. We wouldn't be in the situation. Same as everybody else. I get that. But we've made some massive mistakes. We've dropped 25 points from winning positions. That's criminal. Absolutely criminal. And that's what's put us where we are. Right, folks, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just going to say massive thank you as always for watching. I really appreciate it. And I don't know what we're doing. The game is on Sunday, so Just Joe's show is probably Monday night, the final word. I'll be back on Monday morning with a news. And if you want more content tonight, I believe Joe is doing a late night Leeds as well. You can check him out on Joe's channel as well. Yeah. Plenty floating around. I'm going to let you go. Say a massive thanks to everyone for watching, subscribing, liking, everything you've done for me this season. Can't thank you enough. And I genuinely mean that. I really enjoy doing this now. I didn't think I would, but I do. So thank you for that. And fingers crossed. Just fingers crossed for one day that everything goes our way. We can pray and hope. And whatever God you have, or lizard people you pray to, whatever it is, start praying. Right, folks, I'm going to waffle on enough. I'll let you go. Thanks for watching. Have a fantastic weekend. Fingers crossed for 3 points. Talk to you Monday. Bye.